Welcome to the Personal Computer Show. Today is September the 4th, 2019. I'm Hank Key and my colleague is Joe King. Do you know who has your personal data? Do you know how Facebook, Google, and Amazon and the other big tech companies are using your personal data? Our website is pcradioshow.org. We can be heard each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, prn.fm, streaming on the Internet. Podcasts of the program is available on prn.fm on the Internet and pcradioshow.org. To listen to the live program on the telephone each Wednesday at 6 p.m., the number is 641-793-7091. You can leave me a message if you have any questions or comments at hank@pcradioshow.org. An Android PDF maker with more than 100 million downloads from the official Play Store has been caught silently installing malware on victims' phones. Kaspersky claims CamScanner, an application that turns images into PDFs to share and edit, contains a library that quietly fetches and runs spyware and other software nasties. The developers of CamScanner may not even be aware of this lurking nasty spyware had been present and doing its thing long enough to draw a number of complaints in the reviews section of the Play Store. After analyzing the app, Kaspersky saw an advertising library in it that contains a malicious dropper component. Previously, a similar module is often found in pre-installed malware on Chinese-made spyware. According to the malware hunters, the Necro.N Trojan itself doesn't actually perform any malicious activity on its own, such as spying on users or harvesting device and contact information. Rather, it is simply acting as the downloader for other modules that would actually do the dirty work. The owners of the module can use an infected device to their benefit in any way they see fit, from showing the victims intrusive advertising to stealing money from their mobile account by charging paid subscriptions. CamScanner has vanished from the Play Store. This would not be the first time an Android application has been found to be secretly serving up malware to unsuspecting users. Previously, malware operators have used tricks ranging from dodgy advertisements to repackaging legitimate apps with attack code in order to get past Google's security protection. Check your Android phone. If you have CamScanner installed, uninstall it. How to get Verizon to block robocalls for you. After endless complaints from customer service, providers are making moves to reduce and hopefully eliminate the modern-day nuisance of robocalls. Verizon customers have been able to download a free spam filter that blocks robocalls on iOS and Android. But some Android users are now automatically enrolled in the service. No extra app downloads required. Only certain Android devices are eligible for the automatic blocking so far. If you are on any of Verizon's unlimited plans on an eligible device, you are now automatically enrolled in Call Filter. And many Android phones purchased directly from Verizon will come with the Call Filter app preloaded, which you can use to auto-enroll yourself if you haven't been enrolled anyway. It's unclear if you still want or need to have the app installed in that case, but it doesn't hurt. Android devices on a prepaid plan and all iOS users, regardless of their plan, will need to manually download Verizon Call Filter app for access to the spam service. Once Verizon's Call Filter is active for your account, your phone will send suspected robocalls and other spam straight to the voicemail. And any numbers that have been filtered will be listed as potential spam. Users can adjust how strict the Call Filter is from within the Call Filter app setting. There is also a premium version of the app that requires a $2.99 monthly subscription, which grants access to other privacy tools like creating a customized block list. Verizon isn't the only company with robocall blocking services. AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile all have their own tools. Similarly, there are several third-party apps available, and both Android and iOS users have a few spam-reducing options included on their devices as well. When we get to the end of the year, Windows 7 will reach end of life and no longer receive security updates. That's going to be a problem for some enterprises that still run the decade-old operating system. Starting January 14th, 2020, Windows 7 computers will stop receiving security patches, leaving enterprises vulnerable to malware. And according to the latest data, some 37% of all desktop consumers and enterprise computers still run Windows 7, with Windows 10 marginally ahead at 41%. There will, however, be some reprieve for enterprise customers with active Windows 10 subscriptions. A little publicized document published by Microsoft says top-tier customers with Windows E5, Microsoft 365 E5, and government E5 subscriptions will get extended security updates for a year at no additional charge. After the year expires, Microsoft will charge each enterprise device $50 to receive updates for a second year and $100 per device for a third year. Qualifying subscriptions must remain active until the end of the year and throughout the extended security update period to continue to receive security updates. But for everyone else on other Windows subscription plans, Microsoft will begin charging from the moment Windows 7 falls out of support in January, with a final cutoff for extended security updates in January 2023. The software and services giant began warning users in March that they would soon stop receiving critical and necessary security updates. Microsoft recommends users upgrade to Windows 10 or obtain extended security updates as a last resort. So if you're running Windows 7 and you're not an enterprise with E5 support, get moving on it. Don't wait till the last minute. Wi-Fi 6 will soon be here. But what is it? The new standard promises to improve the speed and reliability of your home Wi-Fi network, and it's coming soon this fall. In January of this year, at the annual multi-thousand square foot madhouse of the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, manufacturers started slipping a new claim into their spec sheets. Supports Wi-Fi 6. New laptops and routers from HP, Dell, and Asus, they would all support this new standard. The following month, when Samsung revealed its Galaxy S10 smartphone, it listed Wi-Fi 6 support among the many whiz-bang features of the fancy phone. Wi-Fi 6 is now being included in a flagship product. So what is this new standard that everyone's pledging to support? Wi-Fi 6 is the latest generation of wireless connectivity technology. It hasn't really launched yet, but it will soon, so tech makers have been building support into devices this year as a means of future-proofing their products. As with most new standards, its steward says that Wi-Fi 6 will ultimately make our tech lives better and faster. That's probably true, but keep in mind that the main objective with the launch of Wi-Fi 6 is to increase the performance and reliability of wireless connectivity at a network level, not necessarily on a single device or at a single access point. Sure, your Roku and Nintendo Switch will see wireless speed gains, but a lot of the new computational intelligence behind Wi-Fi 6 will be devoted to handling streaming to multiple devices at once. It's Wi-Fi for a world crowded with mobile gadgets, IoT devices, and connected equipment. The standards for Wi-Fi are established by the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, or IEEE, and devices are certified for these new standards by the Wi-Fi Alliance, which lists over 800 companies as sponsors or contributors. The list includes Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Intel, Qualcomm, Broadcom, Microsoft, Samsung, LG Electronics, and, well, hundreds more. These groups lay the foundation for new radio technologies every 5 years or so, which means Wi-Fi 6 has been in the works since the last standard was released in 2014. The current wireless networking standard we all use today is referred to as IEEE 802.11ac. The upcoming standard is called IEEE 802.11ax, but you can just call it Wi-Fi 6. That simplified moniker actually represents a change in how the Wi-Fi Alliance is branding these standards. Every Wi-Fi standard will get named in sequence from now on, especially nice since Wi-Fi 6 certainly rolls off the tongue a lot more easily than 802.11ax. They decided to change the paradigm with Wi-Fi 6. They've been talking about technologies, and now they're talking about generations. So Wi-Fi 6 will be used more broadly to describe which version of the Wi-Fi network you're connected to, as will Wi-Fi 4. Soon, Windows 10 will let you reinstall the operating system from the cloud. You won't need that hidden partition copy on the hard disk drive or the solid-state drive to get a fresh copy of the operating system. Use of the hidden partition copy meant you had to go through a whole series of Windows updates to bring the operating system to a current state. This is a time-consuming process. To date, reinstalling Windows has meant using a local or an external device that has the hidden partition information moved to it. Soon, though, it might just be a matter of grabbing it online. Windows 10 will be able to download the Windows option when you want to reset your PC, much like the feature that Apple Macs have had for years. You can use your broadband connection to grab a fresh install from the cloud. You don't need a backup partition or thumb drive to get back into business. This should be noted that this will wipe out your existing installed applications and your data should you choose to remove everything. When it is released next year in the spring, it will offer a valuable fail-safe if Windows is falling apart and you want a more reliable fix. The Windows 10 20H1 update will introduce a new cloud recovery feature that allow users to reset their PC using Windows files downloaded from Microsoft servers. With cloud recovery, Microsoft wants to make the process of recovering a corrupted installation of Windows 10 much easier by downloading a fresh copy of Windows files directly from Microsoft without the need of the Windows media. The cloud download option will reinstall the same build, version, and edition that is currently installed on your device. This new cloud download option is available to all Windows 10 devices and is different from the recover from the cloud feature available on some earlier Windows 10 devices. Microsoft notes that with this release, if the following optional features are installed, to reset this PC from the cloud will not work. Some of the features are the EMS and SAC toolset for Windows 10, the Print Management Console, the Connection Manager Administration, and all RSET tools, and Simple Network Management Protocol, that's SNMP, or the Windows Fax and Scan, Windows Storage Management, and VMI SNMP provider. This feature was made available for testing in the Windows 10 20H1 1897 build and will be rolled out to everyone in the spring of 2020. If you cannot wait till next spring, it is available for participants of the Windows 10 Insider program. Presenting Benjamin Rockwell with his IT Pro Series. This week he's going to talk about the pro and con of PC leasing.
All right, let's talk business. All right, this is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm going to talk to you about my experience from being an IT professional for many years now. And one of the things that I've experienced over the years, well, let me approach it like this. I recently moved quite a ways away from home, and where I moved to, I had to find a new church. When I walked into my new church and I started working with them, and I run sound. I deal with the sound system, and there are a couple of computers there. And in amongst the conversation was, we lease these computers. Well, it's a business. So if you have a business, frequently you're going to be dealing with leasing a number of different things. Now, we've heard about car leases. That's usually where we hear the lease term most often when it comes to something other than property. I lease an apartment. Okay, yeah, we get the idea. In this case, a car or, yes, computers and office equipment. The nice thing, and there are many nice things about leasing computers versus buying them outright. You lease a computer, well, you get to keep up-to-date equipment. You get a regular fee every month in regards to this computer. And a lot of the burden of obsolescence goes not to your company, but to the equipment lease company. And you get to spread out the payment of this computer over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's almost like purchasing it on credit. But there are other things that come along with this. When you're done with it, what do you do with it? Well, you let it sit around or whatever it is. You donate it off to the electronics landfill, or maybe you reuse it within the company itself. But the nice thing is you can get a lot of the newest, fastest equipment available, whether we're dealing with computers or we're dealing with servers or whatever, and you still retain a lot of your different benefits of being able to write this off. A company frequently may be in a situation where they like that a little bit extra a month versus putting out something where, oh yeah, we're going to have to buy $30,000 of computers in the next 2 months. Okay, they look at that and, okay, instead of paying a couple $100 or a few $100, much like we buy a car. Yeah. So this is all done. It's already arranged for. It's easier for a company to get an agreement on a lease than it is for them to get credit to buy the computers. So all of this turns into predictable expenses, and you don't pay anything up front. And, yeah, you get to keep up with a lot of the latest technologies. Now, you do pay more in the long run. Well, you're going to pay more in the long run if you're borrowing that money from anywhere. But you're also obligated to keep paying even if you stop using the computers. So there are a few different things. You're locked into utilizing that computer over the course of the next 3 years, 5 years. What happens if the company downsizes? Well, they downsize too far, and what happens is those computers go back to the store, and then they get resold as used computers. If you buy it, buying it is a different kind of thing. There's a lot less paperwork if you have the cash to do it as a company. And you also get to call the shots in regards to all of the technical support and all of the maintenance. Now, in the business world, I strongly suggest. In the personal world, it's up to you. In the business world, I strongly suggest a lot of the technical warranties, especially the ones where they come on out and they provide service. Even if you have an IT staff, what you do is you utilize the brain power of the IT staff to focus on the higher end items, the things that bring more value to the company. I will tell you, replacing a hard drive is kind of boring and tedious, and you go in, you do it, and it's done. But you know what? It's easier to outsource those simple things, especially since it's really a small amount in the overall purchase price of the computer. Now, there is a different kind of a deduction that happens as far as tax deduction when we start talking about purchasing the computer, and that is that, yes, it's fully write-off. It's a full write-off for the year that you purchase it. Now, there are different little things when you start getting into capital expenditures and stuff like that, but this is more of a world for your CFO, your controller, whoever is in charge of the money for the company. Now, when I go through and I talk to people about this, I say, look, it's going to give you some benefits. It's going to give you some detriments. And you kind of have to pick through all of the different options. Yes, there are situations where you can have a buyout. There are situations where it is just like a loan, and it shows up on your balance sheets as far as, yeah, you have these computers, but you don't own them. And that does not count as part of the assets of the company. But should it count as part of the assets? And we start going back and forth, and we go through a lot of different things. I hope I gave you just a little bit of an idea of some of the ideas of what happens when we're talking about leasing versus purchasing computing equipment. The best guideline I've got is if you've got more than 20 PCs, start looking at leases. If you've got more than 10, it's probably going to be a 50-50. If you've got under 10, and don't worry about it. It's still interesting. It's still something you need to know that your company is doing, and that's okay. This is Benjamin Rockwell. Back to you, Hank.
Thank you, Benjamin. What is artificial intelligence? It depends who you ask. In computer science, artificial intelligence, sometimes called machine intelligence, is intelligence demonstrated by machines in contrast to the natural intelligence displayed by humans. The term artificial intelligence is often used to describe machines that mimic cognitive functions that humans associate with the human mind, such as learning and problem solving. Back in the 1950s, the fathers of the field, Minsky and McCarthy, described artificial intelligence as any task performed by a program or machine that, if a human carried out the same activity, we would say the human had to apply intelligence to accomplish the task. That obviously is a fairly broad definition, which is why you will sometimes see arguments over whether something is truly AI or not. It is also the name of the academic field of study which studies how to create computers and computer software that are capable of intelligent behavior. AI systems will typically demonstrate at least some of the following behaviors associated with human intelligence: planning, learning, reasoning, problem solving, knowledge representation, perception, motion, and manipulation, and to a lesser extent, social intelligence and creativity. What are the uses for AI? AI is ubiquitous today, used to recommend what you should buy next online, to understand what you say to virtual assistants, such as Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri, to recognize who and what is in a photo, to spot spam or detect credit card fraud. What are the different types of AI? At a very high level, artificial intelligence can be split into two broad types: narrow AI and general AI. Narrow AI is what we see all around us in computers today. Intelligent systems that have been taught or learn how to carry out specific tasks without being explicitly programmed how to do so. This type of machine intelligence is evident in the speech and language recognition of the Siri virtual assistant on the Apple iPhone, in the vision recognition system on self-driving cars, in the recommendation engines that suggest products you might like based on what you bought in the past. And unlike humans, these systems can only learn or be taught how to do specific tasks, which is why they are called narrow AI. What can narrow AI do? There are vast numbers of emerging applications for narrow AI: interpreting video feeds from drones, carrying out visual inspections of infrastructure such as oil pipelines, organizing personal and business calendars, responding to a simple customer service queries, coordinating with other intelligence systems to carry out tasks like booking a hotel at a suitable time and location, helping radiologists to spot potential tumors in X-rays, flagging inappropriate content online, by Internet of Things devices, and the list goes on and on. What can general AI do? Artificial general intelligence is very different and is the type of adaptable intellect found in humans, a flexible form of intelligence capable of learning how to carry out vastly different tasks, anything from haircutting to building spreadsheets, or to reason about a wide variety of topics based on its accumulated experience. This is the sort of AI more commonly seen in movies, the likes of HAL in 2001 or Skynet in The Terminator. but which doesn't exist today, and AI experts are fiercely divided over how soon it will become a reality. A survey conducted among 4 groups of experts in 2012 and 2013 by AI researchers, Vincent C. Muller and philosopher Nick Bostrom, reported a 50% chance that artificial general intelligence would be developed between 2040 and 2050, rising to 90% by 2075. The group went on even further to predict that so-called superintelligence, which Bostrom defines as any intellect that greatly exceeds the cognitive performance of humans in virtually all domains of interest, was expected some 30 years after the achievement of AGI. That said, some AI experts believe such projections are wildly optimistic given our limited understanding of the human brain and believe that AGI is still centuries away. Well, what is machine learning? There is a broad body of research in AI, much of which feeds into and complements each other. Currently enjoying something of a resurgence, machine learning is where a computer system is fed large amounts of data, which it then uses to learn to carry out specific tasks, such as understanding speech or captioning a photograph. What are neural networks? Key to the process of machine learning are neural networks. These are brain-inspired networks of interconnected layers of algorithms called neurons that feed data into each other and which can be trained to carry out specific tasks by modifying the importance attributed to input data as it passes between the layers. During training of these neural networks, the weights attached to different inputs will continue to be varied until the output from the neural network is very close to what is desired, at which point the network will have learned how to carry out a particular task. A subset of machine learning is deep learning, where neural networks are expanded into sprawling networks with huge numbers of layers that are trained using massive amounts of data. It is these deep neural networks that have fueled the current leap forward in the ability of computers to carry out tasks like speech recognition and computer vision. There are various types of neural networks with different strengths and weaknesses. Recurrent neural networks are a type of neural net particularly well suited to language processing and speech recognition, while convolutional neural networks are more commonly used in image recognition. The design of neural networks is also evolving, with researchers recently refining a more effective form of deep neural networks called long-term short memory, or LSTM, allowing it to operate fast enough to be used in on-demand systems like Google Translate. Artificial intelligence is not a technology. People have long dreamed of the idea of machines having the intelligence and capabilities of humans. Our human imaginations have envisioned of what it would be like to have intelligent, human-like machines coexist with us. In many ways, the quest for an intelligent machine led to the development of the modern computer ideas by Alan Turing, not only formulating the basis of programmable machines, but also the concepts of artificial intelligence, with the namesake Turing test providing a means for evaluating intelligent machines. We still have yet achieved the vision of artificial general intelligence machines that can be an equal counterpart of human ability. We're not even close. We've mastered computing. We've wrangled big data. We figure out learning. We have no idea how to achieve general intelligence. Part of the reason for this is artificial intelligence is not a technology. Artificial intelligence is the journey. It's the quest for the intelligent machine. All the technologies we've developed on the route to that quest are things that are individually useful, but altogether have not yet gotten us to the goal. This is why it's important to understand that artificial intelligence is not a technology. In order to understand where we currently are or aren't with AI, depending on how you want to look at things, it's important to know the roots of modern AI. The term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956 at a Dartmouth University summer conference. John McCarthy, a celebrated AI researcher, pulled together the conference himself, said that AI doesn't have a technology-specific meaning. In his words, AI is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. The creator himself saw AI as not the ends, but the means. AI is not a technology any more so than physics or civil engineering. The challenge is, like all sciences, there must be application to bring concept to reality. In the early decade of AI from the 1950s through the 1970s, we created machines that could play games, understand basic logic, could engage in simple conversation, had basic machine translation capabilities, and we even have rudimentary neural networks. In the late 1990s, IBM's Deep Blue beat chess master Garry Kasparov. It seemed we were back on a roll with AI development, but it all came to a grinding halt when corporate and venture interests waned with AI's inability to again deliver on some of the promises. Yet the dream was still alive, and interest in AI pre-emerged with a passion in the mid-2000s. With the almost limitless power of cloud computing and GPU, the prevalence of big data and our know-how to use it well, and the development of advanced neural network algorithms, we were able to achieve some of the promises unkept by AI in the past. AI is hip again, it's in vogue, and the money is flowing. And yet, with all the billions invested and thousands of the world's best thinkers on the case, we still have not cracked the nut of artificial general intelligence. Is our technology deficient? Is it a problem with our data? Do we not have enough computing power? Or is it more likely that AI train is rolling along and we've just left the latest station? In this wave, we've solved some problems, but the goal of AI is still ahead of us. We need to proceed to the next station. Is AI the technologies people use to make machines intelligent? Or is it the movement towards the goal of achieving machine intelligence? If you think about it as technology, then it's always subject to disagreement and interpretation. However, if you think about it as a goal or a quest, then it's something we're always striving to achieve, even if we're quite not there yet. Even if you think of AI as a field of study like physics, those fields of study have goals. The quest for the artificially intelligent machine has led to great advancements in the field. We now have technologies that can recognize and classify images, understand and generate natural language, self-driving vehicle capabilities, chatbots that are able to converse simultaneously in multiple languages, systems that can help diagnose diseases such as cancer or diabetes, and an almost innumerable set of applications across a wide range of industries. Many categorize these applications as narrow AI. It goes without saying that since no one has yet achieved AGI, then every current application of AI is narrow. This makes the term narrow AI simultaneously unhelpful and useless. When people use the term narrow AI, they really mean the cognitive technology that have been developed on the quest for the intelligent machine. So instead of saying narrow AI, just use the term cognitive technology. That's more indicative of what is meant. When someone says general AI or strong AI, you should ask, are you referring to the technologies that implement the intelligent machine or the ultimate goal itself? One is a science, and the other is the technologies of application. In much the same way that the space race wasn't a technology, AI can be looked at from the same perspective. Many great developments came out of our quest to get to space, such as thermal blankets, microprocessors, baby formula, Velcro, and the quest to put people in space on the moon and even interstellar transportation was the goal. The developments created in the quest for the goal has been able to help society. What comes out of the race are all these technologies that make up bits and pieces of trying to achieve that goal. Making intelligent machines is both the goal of AI as well as the underlying science behind and understanding what it takes to make a machine intelligent. AI represents our desired outcome, and many of the developments along the way of that understanding, such as self-driving vehicles, image recognition technology, or natural language processing and generation, are steps along the journey to AGI. Forward-thinking organizations and individuals understand that AI is not a technology. They don't ask whether something they implemented is or isn't AI. They ask what transformative effect that technology has. They ask what benefit they can realize from machines that can think and act as humans do. They ask how AI will represent opportunities to dramatically increase efficiency, reduce expenses, increase customer satisfaction, improve existing products and services, and create new business opportunities. Because at the end of the day, an organization itself is not about its technology, but its overall mission and objective. And just like those organizations, AI is not defined by technology, but by overall objectives. Presenting Marty Winston with his home automation segment on sweating out and understanding of dew point. I don't know what it is. Marty, what is dew point?
Everyone remembers the most famous line of the Coleridge Ancient Mariner poem, "Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink." Now, he was talking about the saltwater seas, but the description can also apply to the air you breathe. And when I take a deep dive into that, play your cards right and you can come out dry. When you ask a weather professional, and I don't care if it's a true meteorologist or just a TV station weekend weather fill-in, but when you ask weather insiders about whether or not a day or a place is comfortable, their go-to answer is just about always going to talk about the dew point. You might expect them to talk about the relative humidity, not that they won't, but the comfort conversation always comes around to some kind of dew point discussion. And one big reason for that, I'll come back to this in a few minutes, is because human beings sweat. But let's try to corral the little snippets that each of us may remember from science class so long ago. Let's try to corral those into a collection of ways to think about this stuff. And believe me, there is no straight-line explanation that's easy to stick into your brain's back pocket and take home with you. So just maybe mixing up some little things will make it all a little more relatable. One of those things is the morning dew, what looks like water on the blades of grass on your lawn. And while we're at it, did you ever wonder why it's a morning dew and not a lunchtime or dinner time dew? Not that it can't be, it just rarely happens that way. Dew is water. It's the same as the water on the outside of a glass that has something cold inside. It's water that has been a vapor, blended in with the rest of the air everywhere. Those drops on the glass are a pretty good reminder that water will condense if the air gets cool enough. Yes, that's also what makes rain happen, and snow happen, and even clouds and fog happen. How much water vapor is in the air? There is a familiar-sounding something that measures that. It's called relative humidity. Absolutely dry air with no water vapor in it at all has a relative humidity of 0%. Absolutely moist air with all the water vapor it can possibly hold has a relative humidity of 100%. And again, what happens when air gets more water vapor than it can possibly hold? Well, that's called condensation, or dew, or rain, or snow, or fog. The warmer the air is, the more water vapor it can hold. The colder the air is, or for that matter, the colder the thing it touches, the less water vapor it can hold. And again, when it can't hold any more water as vapor, at least some of that water will stop being a gas, water vapor, and turn into a liquid water. Don't think of this liquid water as running water. Think of it as tiny droplets of water. Those tiny droplets are sometimes light enough to still be carried by the air. Real liquid droplets, kind of floating, like those almost spooky, low-lying patches of fog you sometimes see. And also, as it happens, like clouds. That's also the nature of the mist that can form on your shower door. A lot of people call it steam, not because it is steam, but because of something that steam can do that looks the same. Steam can inject more humidity, more water vapor into the air, and also help heat the air, so things near steam will look like that mist. The mist on your shower door soon turns into drops of water that will run down the door. You've seen that. The moisture in your breath will fog up your car windows on a cold morning. Moisture in the low-lying air will condense onto the blades of grass that have cooled overnight as what we call dewdrops. All of it is just water doing its thing, and not just at your shower door or your lawn. Let me get back to why the dew collects near the ground, and why many fogs, especially near creeks or rivers, also hug the ground. This may surprise you, so I'll repeat it a couple of ways. It isn't because the moist air weighs more. Water vapor, or if you prefer, moist air, weighs less. Humid air weighs less than dry air. High humidity air is lighter than low humidity air. Water vapor weighs less than dry air. Moist air isn't weighted down. It doesn't drop to the bottom of the air all around to make fogs and mists and dew happen. But here's the other thing you need to remember. Heat rises. Cold sinks. Warm air rises above cooler air. That's part of it. The other part is that the ground, almost anything solid, maintains its temperature longer than the air. So, ready to connect the dots? The ground just beneath those blades of grass on your lawn and the ground around those creek beds and riverbanks, that ground cools down overnight, and in the morning the air near them is cooler than the air higher up. So while the higher up air may be able to hold more moisture without it condensing, the air lower down is cool enough to reach the point at which it can't hold any more moisture. That point is the point at which water condenses out of the air. That is the literal dew point. By the way, similar things happen at higher altitudes, where again, air temperatures may be cooler. When the air up there starts condensing tiny droplets into the air, a very big area can get all misty. That's where clouds come from. Now, let's keep our head in the clouds for a minute. When the weather's been hot and the humidity high, call it muggy, and the air up there starts to cool, clouds build up. They start to build up at lower altitudes. There get to be more of them. And what do you think makes the air up there start to cool in a way that really triggers cloud buildups? Yep, it's what weather people call a cold front, which simply means that the air that's coming your way is cooler than the temperatures you've had around you all day. The cooler that air gets, the more water vapor condenses into droplets. The more droplets there are, the more likely they are to aggregate into bigger drops. Only this time, we don't call them dewdrops, we call them raindrops. I won't get into any details on this next part, but I do want to remind you that the weather maps also tend to have a lot of H's and L's. The H's are high-pressure areas and the L's are low-pressure areas. The only reason I'm mentioning that is because there are three legs on this stool: temperature, relative humidity, and barometric air pressure. All three of these things together have an impact on how much moisture the air can hold and how likely it is that it's getting over the top and has to condense as rain or as snow, for example. I won't drag you into the formula that weather people use to determine the dew point, but I can give you some guidelines. First, the dew point is a temperature. When the air temperature cools down to the dew point temperature, the air won't be able to hold any more moisture, and some of the moisture it carries will condense as liquid water. So, if you've been paying attention, the dew point is the temperature at which the relative humidity reaches 100%. Bring an umbrella. When the weather guys calculate the dew point, they have to know the current temperature, the relative humidity, and the current barometric air pressure. We're almost done. How far away are you from the temperature that will make water condense? Well, think about this. If it has to get really cold before that will happen, that has to mean there isn't a lot of humidity in the air. So the lower the dew point, the more comfortable the air will feel. Give me a dew point of 55 degrees or less, and I'm a happy camper. Things get sticky when it's over 60, and turn from uncomfortable to intolerable when it climbs past 70. Even worse, the higher the dew point and the higher the relative humidity, the less your sweat is able to evaporate into the air. So it can't help with cooling you. It can only help you feel wetter and stickier. Water, water everywhere, remember? That's one reason, by the way, that I love the idea of having a separate dehumidifier or two in the house. An air conditioner can do some dehumidification, but only while it's cooling. And there are many times when you need more dehumidification than cooling alone can provide. For me, listen, I know almost everybody you know puts their dehumidifiers in basements, but for me they go in attics. It's a trade-off between pulling moisture out where moisture accumulates, up high, or pulling moisture out where it's cooler and more likely to condense, down low. I figured that if I can attack the whole house humidity level with dehumidifiers in the attic, the air conditioner circulation through the vents can handle the lower levels. And if not, well, my flooring is waterproof. Next time, in case you haven't yet spent thousands of dollars on home automation, but you're starting to feel the urge to do that, you might be interested in hearing my recommendations. They're all about home automation for cheapskates. Join me?
Hey, Marty, did you fact-check your stuff?
Since I prepared that segment, I learned something very significant about dew point. Got some additional expert commentary from a veteran weather pro and managed to get in 2 of the very few home weather panels that display dew point up front. I'll try to go quickly. Here's the biggest disconnect. Everybody sees humidity readings all the time, and hardly anybody ever sees a dew point reading except maybe on TV weathercasts. If I tell you the dew point is 45 degrees or I tell you that it's 90 degrees, does either one mean anything to you? I have an old pal at one of the Cleveland TV stations. It's WJW-TV Fox 8. His name is Andre Bernier. He's the senior meteorologist there, and I sent him that segment you just heard so he could fact-check me. He mentions a term that I avoided using, vapor pressure. It's a more complete indicator of moisture pressure in air. Let me read what Andre told me. Dew point is directly tied to vapor pressure, and vapor pressure is not linearly proportional to relative humidity. Dew point is a direct measurement or reflection of how much water vapor is present in the air, regardless of temperature. The more water vapor there is, the harder your sweat glands will have to work to keep your body cool, because your sweat glands are looking for vapor space in the air and competing against whatever humidity is already there. So, for example, if the dew point is over 70 degrees, the air already has so much water vapor in it that there's nowhere for our sweat to evaporate. And with nowhere to evaporate, the sweat has nowhere to go and just accumulates on our skin. He told me that relative humidity first got to be widely used in weather reports expressly to help farmers understand how easy or challenging it would be to dry hay for their livestock. He said that if the temperature is 90 degrees and the relative humidity is just 30%, well, that's terrific for drying hay. It puts the dew point up past 70 degrees, which is awful for humans, tropically and almost unbearably humid. By the way, Andre also told me that he's never seen a dew point over 88 degrees, and that reading was from India. So, right now, do you know what your dew point is? How long would it take you to find out? I might ask you the same question about relative humidity, faster and easier to read, right? And another old friend, not a weatherman, told me he has no idea what a good or bad dew point might be, but he knows when the relative humidity will or won't be comfortable. Dew point is an intangible for most people. There's no familiarity with its value because there's very little around us to show it. So I went hunting for something that does. I asked Cheney Instrument to send me their Accurite Model 1121M. It's a dark theme, wireless color, indoor-outdoor weather station. Walmart and Amazon have it for about $35. It gets atomic time calibration from the National Institute of Standards and Technology WWVB radio signal. The time and date display are at the top. One level down, still on the top half, it shows the dew point in degrees Fahrenheit, or if the outdoor temperature is 80 degrees or more, it will display the heat index. Next to that, it shows a forecast by displaying one from among more than a dozen iconic color icon graphics. Next to that, the current air pressure in inches of mercury to 2 decimal points, including an up-down even trend flag. Below that, the outdoor temperature to 1 decimal point with a trend flag plus its high and low. And next to that, the outdoor relative humidity with a trend flag, the high and the low. The bottom row has the indoor temperature and humidity and their trend flags, plus a one-word dry or okay or humid, a one-word assessment of the indoor humidity. It also lets you set your own temperature and humidity comfort range and can alert you when either gets above the high you set or below the low you set. During the first 14 days you use it, a learning mode derives your altitude from 4,000 readings taken 12 minutes apart. Those readings continue for more than a month to self-calibrate its barometric air pressure readings. That's the Accurite 1121 panel, and I absolutely love it. They also sent their Model 1201. It doesn't have the WWVB time setting or the learning mode or the humidity high and low, but it does have everything else. Yes, including dew point, plus a phase of the moon graphic, and its display is brighter with a white background and more colors. We see it online for about $32.50, a great choice, a little prettier because of the brightness and color panels, but somebody at your house may find that less polite or subtle. You guys figure that out. Either of these will make the dew point something you can see every day. So, over time, you may come to gain a more tangible, more visceral understanding of how it relates to how sweaty or damp or comfy or dry you feel. One last note. We haven't seen any standard iconic graphics to indicate the various comfort bands within the range of dew point readings, but with your indulgence, I'd like to suggest one. It would be a graphic of a shirt corner and sleeve, near the armpit area, with the size of the wet sweat stain there as a comfort indicator. Hey, if you have an even better idea, drop a line. I'll pass it on to the people who make these weather panels.
Thank you, Marty. Public service announcements of computer club meetings in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut tri-state region. The computer clubs have random access sessions at each of these club meetings. If you have any questions or need for technical advice, the club members are more than happy to assist. There is no such thing as a dumb question. All these computer club meetings are open and free to the public. Westchester PC Users Group meet Thursday, September the 5th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Keller Williams Realty, 120 Bloomingdale Road in White Plains, New York. The Amateur Computer Group of New Jersey meets Friday, September the 6th. Meeting time is 8 p.m. They meet at the Scotch Plains Rescue Squad, 1916 Bartow Avenue, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. The Computer Learning Center at Ewing meets Tuesday, September the 10th. The meeting time is 2 p.m. at the Ewing Senior and Community Center, located at 999 Lower Ferry Road in Ewing, New Jersey. New York Amateur Computer Club has a meeting on iOS iPhone versus the Android phones. Meeting time is Thursday, September the 12th, and the meeting starts at 7 p.m. They meet at NYU Silver Building, 32 Waverly Place, room 414 in Manhattan, New York. Long Island Macintosh Users Group meet Friday, September the 13th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Harry J. Scher Hall, New York Institute of Technology, Old Westbury campus out in Old Westbury, New York. We hope to see you at one of these meetings, and if you have a computer club meeting that you want me to announce on the air, send me a note. My address is hank@pcradioshow.org. Our website is pcradioshow.org. We can be heard each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on prn.fm, streaming on the Internet. Podcasts of the program is available on prn.fm, on the Internet, and pcradioshow.org. If you have any questions for me, just send me an email addressed to hank@pcradioshow.org. There is no such thing as a stupid question. In the meantime, stay in touch and remember to do regular backups. I'm Hank Key, and on behalf of Joe King and Michael Horowitz, we thank you for listening. Stay safe and healthy until we meet again, same time, same station next week.